Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to Side Hustle Ideas. I am Bill, the company's expert, and this is the more or less weekly live stream where I do a Q&A on all things related to entrepreneurship and side hustles, obviously. So welcome, welcome. If you have a question about entrepreneurship, if you're an aspiring entrepreneur or anything like that, please get in the chat. Let me know your question, and I will do my best to help you out. I really don't have an agenda for these shows. I'm here to talk about business because I think it's absolutely wonderful. And I think it's a great goal to have. There's a lot of people out there that want to add an extra revenue stream, an extra source of income to an existing job, a regular job working as an employee, or they have ambitions to start their own company and make their fortune that way. Either way, I think it's a great goal to have, and it's a lot more of a viable option than I think a lot of people realize. And so that's one of the reasons I do this, because I'm just passionate about business, and I think that more people should be too. Yes, before we get started, and we're waiting for the first questions to come in, I see that this is kind of interfering with my face, but I put, you can probably see it right here. My monitor is backwards, so I have it right here. I have a third course coming out in the next week or so called Write Like a Professional. This is my third course, and it's not quite out yet. It's going to be out in probably about a week, and it's going to start with a, I don't know what you call it, but it's the full-blown course is not going to be available immediately. It's going to be available as a drip, I believe is the term, where, they release like one lesson per week or whatever it is. And so for the people that are the early adopters that buy that course and enroll in it in the first month, there's going to be a rebate. Normally my courses are like $100 each, but this will be $75 or something, just in that introductory period. So if you have ambitions to write like a professional, to write like an executive, this is the course for you. It goes over several tips and tricks and techniques that cover low-level stuff, mid-level stuff, and high-level stuff. And this has come out of basically my career, working all the way up to an executive, to being a CEO, and being a board member, and also teaching communication courses. I went back and I taught a few business courses, and one of them was business communication, and working with people that were in their 20s. And some of the stuff that came out of that, some of the things that a lot of people in that age group don't quite understand, like in general, obviously there's exceptions, but a lot of people don't. And this was based on my students, and that I had to teach them. And it involved all levels. It involved little things like punctuation and how you phrase things. It involved how you structure your ideas to make a point. And it involved what to say and how to say it in order to get the desired response. So if you are looking for a job right now, or you're wanting to start a business, these are skills that, apply to all of that and then some. So that's what prompted this course. Sam is here. Sam says, good morning. A little early today. Yes, I am. I'm going to be up early for the next couple of weeks because there's something I'm doing that requires me to be up in the early hours where I am. And so I figured I'd do my live streams right at that time. Those will move with me. And we'll just see if anyone shows up. I normally do them at a certain time, but that doesn't mean that I have to do them at that time. I figured, a little change is good. Brian is here. Brian says, good morning. Good morning, Brian. Thank you for joining me here today. And if you have any questions related to how to start a business or how to start a side hustle or any of that, let me know. That's what I'm here for, to help you succeed when it comes to that sort of stuff. Yeah, a great thing that I've found that really illustrates some of the principles involved in this is a thought experiment. Imagine, instead of being a startup founder or a would-be entrepreneur, imagine you're on the other side of the table. You're an investor, okay? Someone who entertains proposals from would-be entrepreneurs, would-be startup founders, and has to discern, Is it something that makes sense? Is it a risky bet? Is it something where I would take my hard-earned money and instead of putting it into my pocket, using it to give myself a lavish vacation or something like that, or a new car or a new house or whatever, instead of doing that, I'm going to take that money and I'm going to give it to this person because I believe that they're going to do something that's going to make even more money with it. I believe in them. I believe in their vision. Right? So imagine that's you for a second, and it allows us to turn our critical eye onto, plans for people who want to make money, right? And that's, even though this live stream is called Side Hustle Ideas, where we talk about side hustles. Side hustles are kind of a junior form of entrepreneurship. Okay, it all has the same structure. You have an idea where you think you can make money, you have a plan, and it might take a little bit of capital to start it, depending on what you're trying to do. I always advocate for having as little as that as possible. But, depending on what you're trying to do, what business you're trying to get into, there's a chance it might take some startup capital. So, the question is it worth your time? And will it stand a good chance of success? Right? So let's do one of these very quickly. I haven't rehearsed this or anything, but imagine you are an investor and you're hearing pitches from various would-be entrepreneurs, and somebody comes up to you. This is a common thing that I've encountered many times. I've officiated pitch competitions and things like this in university for people that want to be entrepreneurs. And this is a common thing. Imagine you have a startup founder that's coming to you and they're trying to sell you on this business idea they're doing. Okay. And it's something in a certain industry. Let's pick an industry. I don't know. Gym memberships. I don't know. We could pick anything really. And so in order to sell you on the idea, what they do is they give you a lot of economic data on gyms and gym memberships. They say look, gyms have expanded in the last 15 years. They've doubled the amount of gyms in this region. The average income per gym has gone from this to this, right? Here's an article from, the government economic office that says they predict great things, a lot of growth in the area of personal fitness and nutrition, that kind of thing. Okay, so therefore, I want to start a gym, so I'm going to need $150,000 to do this. And in exchange, you'll get 50% of my business or, whatever. So there you go. That's my pitch. That's how I'm trying to sell you. Now, imagine this is you. This is not some hypothetical thing. Imagine this is actually you that's sitting down to decide this. And this is the pitch you've heard. What would be your reaction? Tell me in the comments. Would that be enough to hand over $150,000? Or would you have questions? What would your concerns be? I want to throw this out to you guys. Okay, there's 15 of you here. What would you think if somebody tried to sell you on their business idea and that's how they did it? Let me know in the chat, okay? I'm going to keep talking for a few minutes while I wait for hopefully some responses to that, and we'll see what you guys say, and we'll examine it further. I see Tracy is here. Tracy says, "Good morning, fellow opportunists." Good morning, Tracy. Thank you for being here. Yeah, new time for this live stream. While you guys are chewing on what you think of that, just as a filler, since I don't have anything prepared, just as a reminder, check out my $100 MBA course if you are wanting to learn business. I created that course specifically for would-be entrepreneurs, people that want to get into the world of business. They want to start some kind of business venture on their own, whether it's a side hustle or a full-blown small business or a tech startup, like any kind of innovative startup or traditional startup or side hustle. It's for everybody who wants to do that. And they don't have prior schooling on the principles of business. They've never been to business school or anything like that. That course is for those people. Stan is here. Good morning, Stan. Stan says, hi, big boss. I like your podcast. Warm hello from Poland. Well, thank you, Stan from Poland. That's very kind of you to say. And if you have any specific questions or things you are specifically wanting to talk about or to learn, let me know. Stan says, I'm currently during the MBA program. It takes 2 years and costs $10,000 US. Yes, this is the, well, it's not really a problem with it, but it's the characteristics of the brick and mortar accredited MBA stuff. I'm not knocking it. Definitely it has a place. If you want to impress people with your credentials, that may be a way to do it. Unfortunately, I regard it a little bit like getting a degree in math. Okay? If you wanted to go to school to learn mathematics, you wanted to take mathematics at a university level and you wanted to get a master's degree in mathematics. I would be suspicious of anyone who's asking like exorbitant amounts of money to teach mathematics because it's common knowledge. The knowledge is out there. Nobody owns that knowledge, nor is it so specialized and complicated that you need to get, only a handful of people that are the best in the world to teach it to you. You know what I'm saying? It's, I would be suspicious of that, or any claims that say like, oh, well, our math program will teach you math at a level that, no one else does, or something like that. That's suspicious to me. Because having an MBA myself, I mean, these principles are not rocket science. So I feel that it should be accessible to people for less money and less inconvenience. So that's why I created my version of it. It's unaccredited, but it's unaccredited because there's no tests, there's no exams, there's no assignments, there's no evaluations. It's not about, me judging how much you know. It's about you reading the material and learning and getting something out of it that's going to help serve you in your career and indeed your life. That's what it's about. So there's room for both. Tracy Williams. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Tracy. Tracy says, it's not enough to cite market projections. What are the problems present in the market? Exactly how and what will your solution be? Okay, yes. You are on the way to what I believe is the right answer. Okay? Now, for those of you that are just joining us, I threw out a thought experiment just to summarize very quickly. You are an investor sitting across the table from a would-be entrepreneur who is looking for you to invest in their business idea. And they've given you a pitch, and they've said, this is my business idea. I want to get into, what was it, gym memberships. And in order to try and sell you on the idea and convince you to invest in them, they've basically used, like Tracy is saying, market data. They've used economic data. They've looked at big numbers. There's a lot of growth in the gym area. There's a lot of, people are expecting this area to grow. In the last 15 years, we have seen growth in this area. So it's a growing type of business, right? That's their entire argument. Okay. Now, as Tracy is pointing out here, it's not enough to cite market projections. You're absolutely right. What are the problems present in the market? Yes. Okay. Exactly how and what will your solutions be? Now, you're getting to the root of the problem. You don't have to sell the investor, usually, on the fact that, say, gym memberships are a growth area, okay? They already believe that, gyms and gym memberships are a growth. It's a hot area. A lot of people are going to go in and make money, right? But what they're wondering about is, they agree with you about like gyms are going to be hot. The big question though is, are you going to be able to make money, or is it going to be somebody else that's going to get in there and have more savvy than you that's going to take advantage of this opportunity, right? You have to sell them on you. It's not enough to just say, well, this is a growth area. Yeah, it's a growth area. I agree. But I don't know if you're really the person to take advantage of it. Do you really know what you're doing? Do you know how to take advantage of it? I don't know, right? So I'm unconvinced. This is the big thing. This was huge blind spot when I would be at pitch competitions for MBA students and other business program students. You know, they would try and sell you on the business using economic data, but they wouldn't sell you on them. Because what usually happens is some people come in and they make a ton of cash. They make a lot of money in a growth area. But other people come into the growth area, have no idea what they're doing. They don't know any of the principles of business or marketing. They can't get their business up and running. They don't know what to do. And it fails, right? It is possible to fail in a growth area. Real estate is a growth area. Does that mean everyone can automatically go in and make a ton of money in real estate? No. No, you have to know what you're doing, and sometimes you have to have a bit of a competitive position that allows you to go in there and have an advantage, right? If you don't have any money to buy land or to build property or to improve property, it's kind of hard to make money in real estate, right? So, yeah. So Tracy says, so sell them on my experience, not my idea. Well, you got to do both, but my point is that it's easy to sell somebody and convince them that, oh, this is going to be big, right? Because the backup for that assertion is not really coming from you. You're saying, look, AI is going to be big, okay? And in order to help me convince you of this, I'm going to reference all kinds of things that other people have said and have done, you know, that are going to back up this idea that AI is going to be big in the next, say, 5 years. Okay? But what you're asking for is you're asking for that person to invest in you. Okay? So even if they agree that AI is going to be big, you still haven't really solved the problem, which is you haven't convinced them that you're the person that's able to take advantage of it, right? Now, imagine if you had a track record where you had started, say, 6 businesses, one after another. And each business you went from 0 to $10 million in less than a year, and then you successfully sold the business for more than that. Okay, you're a serial entrepreneur. And you haven't had a flop yet. Okay, you've had increasing success starting up businesses, maybe in slightly different areas each time, and winning and making a lot of money, right? Now, if you could say something like that, for example, obviously, that would convince people that you probably know what you're doing, right? But if you haven't done anything, ever, on your own, but you're saying, oh yeah, you know, like give me $150,000, I'll make you $10 million in 2 years. Would you believe that person and hand over $150,000 of your savings? Right? This is the question you got to ask. What would it take you? If somebody pitched that to you, what would it take? What would you have to see to believe that this would be a good idea and it would be very likely to succeed? We have to ask ourselves that question. That helps frame this problem, right? Now, I'm not doing this thought experiment because I think everyone here is going to be an investor. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like when people make plans, and especially if they sink a lot of money into it, you know, investment or startup capital to start whatever business idea. Okay. You know, you obviously have to have some confidence and you have to believe in what you're doing, right? But the problem is how, like what are the chances of success really, right? And this is one way of sort of trying to get some objectivity about yourself and this venture you're trying to do, right? What are the odds? What's the likelihood that it's going to be successful, right? So if you can answer yes to some of those things, that kind of points you in the direction of what you need to do, right? I'm a big fan of people starting businesses and trying things. This is how you learn it. You learn some of the theory, but then you go out and try things, right? And every industry, every business you get into is different. It works slightly differently, right? So if you want to develop some expertise, you go out and try stuff. You go out and do stuff. Now, if you've never done anything, that's going to be an issue, right? Tracy Williams says, true. Yes, I'm glad you agree, because that that is certainly the case in my experience. Yeah, so I wanted to explore that with you guys. I wanted to just throw that out there because a lot of people don't do this. Marcelo says, congratulations on an awesome channel. From where I am, this is very helpful. Well, you're absolutely welcome, Marcelo. And as I say, if you have any specific questions, feel free to fire them at me and I will try and help you if I can. Stan says, don't you think that today's MBAs have become a bit devalued and the people look for particular advices from the experienced entrepreneurs, not from coaches? I think education in general is being devalued. I think that's justified sometimes and unjustified other times. In the case of an MBA, it's like I did a video, I don't know, like a year ago or something, talking about, the MBA, like what is it in the real world? This is a short little video, like 3 minutes or something. And I was saying in the video, is it possible to have an MBA and still be an idiot? And the answer, of course, is yes. And we do see this. I mean, just because you've been taught accounting and you've been taught operations management and you've been taught, the basics of HR and things like this, does that mean that you have really good judgment? Does that mean that you are a really good judge of people? And, are you able to manage people? Are you able to manage projects? Are you able to manage money? Not necessarily. You might know the theory, but it can't teach you good judgment. And a lot of times good judgment when it comes to business matters comes from experience. When we're young, when we're in our 20s, we think we know it all. And I assure you, I certainly felt that way too when I was in my 20s, like about 1 million years ago. And, you learn pretty quickly that you don't. If you've ever tried to do like a business kind of venture in your 20s, like I have, it crashes and burns faster than you can believe, really. You lose that pretty quickly. You realize quickly, like, oh, I don't know it all, right? But yet, if you've gone the route where you've taken some education, maybe you've gone to business school, or you've taken, any other kind of like, you've taken medicine or law or engineering or science or arts or whatever, and then you tack on an MBA, does that mean that you're going to be able to run a business really well? You're going to have like prescience when it comes to the industry and you're going to really know customers and you're going to really know how to manage people? No, it doesn't. It doesn't in itself. The other thing is that more people are getting education, and education, as far as I can tell, it's kind of splintering off. You've got, the traditional universities and things, and then you've got all kinds of people doing alternative education, like me, just having courses and things. That's, I guess, some form of alternate education. Sometimes it's almost like infotainment. People, they take it almost as like an entertainment, like as a pastime, like a hobby. Well, it's fun to learn something new. Sometimes you see old people taking like courses and things like for fun. It's not like they're going to use it to get a job or whatever, but it's almost kind of like that. Like a lot of people are selling education, and half of the time it's like for hobbyists almost, learn about ancient Egypt, learn about the pyramids, take this course where we do Egyptology and, we take you through like, the history of archaeology and, all this kind. It's like for fun, right? So because of a lot of that happening, I think employers are maybe devaluing education. Also, I don't know if this is a new problem or this has been around forever, but just having education with absolutely no experience, no knowledge of the world, not ever having had a career job, it's limiting how useful you are because there's a lot of things you just don't get. You learn pretty quick, right? It's not a reflection on anyone. We all got to start somewhere. Brian says, such an important point to sell yourself secondary to the idea of what you're pitching. Well, I mean, in the context of what I was talking about, like that thought experiment, it's pretty damn important to sell yourself, right? Because if you're running this proposed business operation, whether you know your stuff or not is pretty damn important, right? Let's say you're an idiot and you're going into a business where a lot of people are making money. It's a hot industry right now. Now, certainly it's easier to make money in such a business, but you can easily undo all of that if you have absolutely no idea what you're doing. So you've got to do both. You've got to sell them on the concept of the business. Then you've also got to sell them on the fact that, look, I know what I'm doing. When I say I can do this, here's why you should believe me. That's great, Stan. Stan fully agrees with me. He's obviously got impeccable taste, and he's an extremely intelligent and upright human being. Forthright, I should say. Tracy says, if I were pitching a health club chain idea, I would cite market data that male membership has dropped by 40% because males no longer feel comfortable in co-ed gyms. My solution is men-only gyms. Okay. I mean, that has a certain logic to it. As you can probably tell by my physique, I'm not an aficionado of the world of fitness and gyms. So you could well be right. And if you are, I'm far be it for me to contradict any of that. Tracy says, much time is taken up just finding out what you should be studying. A teacher can be a guide. Yeah, a teacher can be a guide, but I think that, I don't know. My personal opinion is that schools, at least in my experience, they've done a terrible job of introducing to children, to people, what is out there. How are you supposed to know what you want to do if you've never seen what the options are? You haven't really been introduced to a lot of what's out there, And speaking personally in my career, like when I got my first few career jobs, I went into industries I never considered existed, but they were hiring, and they were hiring people with, skills that I had. So you end up applying. And then next thing you know, you're doing this thing that you've never envisioned you were doing. You never given two thoughts to in your whole life. Like in my case specifically, I've said this a bunch, but I went into the railroad. What with trains and everything. I'd never given a thought to the railroad. Because when you drive around your city or, you walk around your city or whatever, if you live in a city, usually the rail yards and all that kind of the rail system, it's kind of hidden. It's not like seeing Walmarts and things like that. You have to go to the industrial areas. You might get stopped by a train at a crossing. But other than that, you really don't see any of that. It turns out that's the vast majority of how transport happens over land. You know what I mean? It's not trucks. It's trains, right? Trucks are for like short hops and specific items, right? Trains are where the vast majority of stuff, travels by. But you never see it. You never hear about it, right? So, I mean, how would you know about that if no one ever told you and you never see it? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, so I mean, we're getting off into a different topic, but that's kind of been my experience. Schools are not that great at showing you what's out there. I think it's because, once again, my personal opinion, a lot of the people in schools, not to speak disparaging about them or anything, far be it from me to do that, but they've never been out in the real world. They've been in school as a student, and then they've stayed in the school system, in the educational system, taken an education degree, and then now they're back in school as the teacher. Like, they've never actually been out in the real world. I mean, obviously there's exceptions, but I think a lot of them fall into that category. So how would you know, what's out there, and how would you generate interest in it and make it come alive for kids or for students? I don't think they're typically equipped really to do that, Tracy Williams says, I spoke loosely. Tracy, I am speaking super loosely. Don't feel bad about it. Almost every second sentence I say, I think, did you really put that the way you wanted to put that? So don't feel bad about it. I spoke loosely. I consider you and your course to be a teacher. It is one-stop place for all. Well, thank you very much. It impresses me that my sort of stream of consciousness rambling is actually entertaining for some people. If you guys have questions about specific things, get in the chat. And this is what I've envisioned doing, just answering questions, because as I said, I really don't have any kind of agenda or pre-planned, template or ideas like to talk about. I just sort of go live, and then you're live, and then you've got to sort of fill until people ask questions. I think business is a wonderful thing. It's been awesome for me in my life. I'm passionate about it. I'm surprised that more people don't know about it. More people don't do it. In the last 10 years, more people are getting into it. With tools like YouTube, for example, and so many other things out there, it is possible now to be in business for yourself, much easier, and taking advantage of some of the platforms and tools and stuff that we have available to us. Back in the old days before the internet, if you wanted to get the word out about yourself, you had to advertise. You had to pay money. You had to put up signs. You had to put up billboards. You had to put classifieds in the newspaper. Now you can just go online for free and just broadcast whatever it is that you want the world to know. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I'm kind of jealous of people that are growing up with this, that just, they don't see how wonderful it is because it's just always been there. I remember the world before the internet, and now I've seen the world with the internet, and it's absolutely incredible. You can do stuff that no one ever thought was possible, like 30 years ago. And tremendous opportunity. The idea that you can just publish or broadcast your thoughts, your messages to the world, you could reach literally millions of people from your phone or your computer, if you know what you're doing. Everyone has access to that. So just limiting this to business applications. Forget about social applications or political applications or anything, but just business. Like if you're in terms of publicizing, I have this for sale, right? And being able to target that to the people that are most likely going to be interested. It's absolutely incredible. It's opened up a new sort of class of businesses that exist online as their primary, way of reaching their audience, Tracy says, I find that the traditional tools like the business model canvas don't really fit the online business models like solopreneurs. Any ideas about where to go? About like what? Where to go to learn more about it, you mean? Or okay, that, for example, like the entrepreneurship model has been turned on its head. Okay. Traditionally, and if you go and take, like we were talking about MBAs earlier, if you go and take a Master's of Business Administration from a university, one of the areas you would learn would be entrepreneurship. Sometimes people make you learn it. Sometimes it's like an optional elective or whatever, but it's a key part of business. And traditionally the way it would work is basically somebody has an idea, this could make money, and they invest capital into it. You have to put money in. Okay. You build the thing, whatever it is, could be a product or a service of some kind. And then you try and sell it. And then you see if it's successful. And if you know what you're doing, it will be successful. And then you can start making back some of the money. So you build the thing first, the product or the service. We call that an offering. An offering is a product or a service or some combination thereof. You create that first, and then you find your audience. You find your market. Okay. With the internet, for example, that model has been successfully turned on its head. And we are communicating over YouTube. YouTube is one of many examples of that, where, you first create the audience. You first find the audience. Okay. So you get yourself a YouTube account, you start making videos or whatever, and then YouTube will, eventually help you find an audience that might be interested in the stuff that you're doing. And then you have this audience, and then you can just sell them something. Like there's a chance you could sell them something if you have something of value to offer, right? So, that's completely flipped on its head. You don't have to create the thing first and then find your audience and invest startup capital. Instead, you do the thing entirely backwards. You find the audience first, you find out what they want, and then you deliver to them what they want, and you've got a ready-made audience for it. So that's an example of how the internet has affected a lot of things. And not to mention the fact that, if you wanted to do this kind of activity 30 years ago, it would be a lot harder. How do you reach 1 million people 30 years ago? It's extremely hard. It takes tons of money. Right now, you could pretty much almost do it for free. So yeah, it's absolutely incredible. So there's a lot of great opportunities and tools and things that are available. It's a matter of figuring out how you can use them. You're absolutely right, Tracy. Now, the any ideas about where to go thing. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure on all the latest terminology for how people describe that. Like I know there's a lot of terms and things for the concepts I'm exploring that I don't know the terminology for, because a lot of it's new, or if it did exist a long time ago, I don't remember. It just wasn't really important. But however you describe it, a lot of changes come in. Stan says, how important is today to be able reading advanced financial indicators to determine the company's condition? Okay. In order to answer that question, I have to go into the realm of opinion. You're going to see my biases coming through. Okay. You'll get a different answer to that question depending on who you ask. I would say that it's not unimportant. You obviously need to understand finance. And in terms of understanding the health of an organization, you need to understand accounting. Okay, finance is money in the future. Accounting is money in the past. Okay, so accounting is what's important if you want to understand the health of a business. The problem is accounting, a lot of it's a lagging indicator. Okay, so let's pretend that a business got a new CEO. Okay, maybe it's a smaller business where the CEO really plays an active role in, running the business, determining what the product is, determining how you sell it. They're actively involved. They're sitting on top of all of that, and they regularly make changes in those areas, right? And you get a bad CEO, someone that talks really nice, but they don't actually understand the customers. They don't actually understand where the technology is going, where the industry is going. They make a lot of bad decisions. They guess wrong. And your company doesn't have a very competitive product, and it doesn't have very good relationships with its customers. It's got a bad reputation. Okay. Now, once that's done, you will start to see that show up in the financials. Okay. The accounting will show you you're not making enough money. You're having to take out more debt to finance things, et cetera, right? So it's going to show up as a lagging indicator. Now, the solution to fix the problem is not found in the financials. You could say, okay, we're going to get some hotshot financial genius in here who's going to they're like a super accountant. They're going to be able to cut costs, make our operation more efficient. They're going to analyze every little thing we're doing and seeing how much each thing contributes to the bottom line. And we're going to get rid of the ones that, are the least efficient. They take the most money while making the least money. We're going to like do all this in-depth studies. We're going to reorganize everything, come out leaner and meaner. Like, okay, you could do that. You might have some success in the short term, but it doesn't fix the fundamental problem, which is that people just don't really like your stuff. You're not really giving them what they want. Or if there's some fundamental problem where they don't have the money to pay you, you need to go into another area, which is a hotter area where people have money and they're looking for something that you could do for them. You could meet their need, right? So that's marketing. That's not the financials, right? Like the fundamental thing is the marketing, because that's the leading indicator, right? So, I mean, it's not unimportant. If you can easily mismanage money, right? You could do stupid things with money and take out way more debt and, like things like this. Spend more than you make. You can certainly make all those kind of blunders, but a lot of people they give finance and accounting more emphasis, more credit than it's worth. The two most important things in business really are marketing, and then the marketing side, and then the operations side. If you produce something really awesome, really high quality, you do it for, in a very efficient way, great. This thing that you produce, it meets exactly what a lot of customers are wanting. You know exactly how to reach those people, who they are, and how to convince them to buy it. You got those two things down. You don't really have to worry about a lot of other things. Like the financials will take care of themselves for the most part. It'll be easy to get the financials to work, right? But businesses that struggle, they struggle not because of the financials. They struggle because they're not really meeting customer needs usually, or they're spending money hand over fist with no idea of how much they're actually bringing in. Like fundamental problems like that. Right? So it's about as important as having a good lawyer, right? Success doesn't depend on having an amazing lawyer. You should have one if you're a big business, just so, they take care of business, or like a good HR person, but it's a service. It's not really the competitive part of the business, in my opinion. Obviously, that's going to change if you're like a bank or something, but generally speaking. So hopefully that makes sense. Yes, you can look at financial indicators. You're going to be looking at financial indicators, but the financial indicators, even with like ratio analysis and all kinds of stuff you can do with it, it really doesn't reveal what the problems are and what you need to do to fix them. Because think about it. If you had people lined up around the block wanting to pay you for the hot product that you have, that only you have, that no one else has, people must have this thing and they can only get it from you. And you're charging, a lot of money, but they want it. It's kind of hard to screw that up. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's not really the world of entrepreneurship, but hopefully that answers the question. Yes. So anyway, there's 17 of you guys here. Thank you for joining me today. And if you want to go deeper into this stuff, if you are interested in being an entrepreneur, once again, I'm going to plug my course. Basically, this one is the important one. Somebody here is taking an MBA. Stan is taking an MBA. Congratulations, Stan. That's great. That gives you the theory, the knowledge to do a lot of things, especially if you combine it with some skills in other areas and, some practical experience. That can really make you a potent person and give you some capabilities. You will know what to do to make a lot of money. You can make a lot of money for somebody else and be very valuable as an employee, or you can make money for yourself if you choose to go that route. Obviously, that's the route that we talk about. For others, people who don't have a brick and mortar MBA under their belt, I have this, where basically I give you all the textbooks that are used in some of the top MBA programs around the world, places like Harvard Business School. In their MBA program, you get to read the textbook that they're reading in their course. Now, does that mean you get the exact same experience and the exact same outcome? No, not quite, but it's close. You get the theory, you get like everything that they're learning, right? So for, substantially reduced price, and the fact that you can do this at home and you go as deep as you want and you can do it entirely on your own schedule and on your own terms, there's a place for that, for people that want to learn that stuff. So that's why I created that. And in a week or so, I will have more details on, it's this hand right here, the Write Like a Professional course. If you're trying to network professionally, if you want to be promoted into an executive position, having great written communication skills is pretty important. It can be a thing that prevents you from moving into those roles. You could be highly capable, but if you don't have that down as one of the prerequisite skills, that can preclude you from being promoted into an executive position or an upper level management position. So if you have any interest in that, stay tuned on my channel. That course will be out in about a week, and there'll be some special introductory pricing. If you get it in the first month it's available, it's like 25% off or something like that. So I will have more details when that is done. I'm still working on it right now. So I'd say in about a week I will have the website up, and hopefully you can then start taking the course if you wish. Okay. Tracy Williams says, how long does it take to complete the $100 MBA? That depends on how deep you want to go and, how fast you work. Because you can go through it in, if you say, the way it works is that there's several courses, right? It's called the $100 MBA course, but it's more than a course. I'm squishing an entire MBA program, a university program, into what I'm calling a course. So what that means is that you're covering, I think it's 7 subjects. So that's 7 textbooks. And then there's a bunch of electives where I introduce you to a few of them and then suggest other books you can order if you are interested specifically in any of those particular topics. So if you wanted to, you could skim those books, all of it, in a month, right? If you just want to get a real superficial overview, what do you study? What are, some of the absolute basics, and just skim it, you could do that. If you really wanted to master it, learn it, you wanted to do all the problems, all the case studies, all that, that could take a couple of years if that's your goal. It would take as long as a university program if you're willing to put in that kind of time. You don't have to. Most people don't. Most people want to learn the basic idea of all of it, but they want to go deep in maybe 1 or 2 areas that are of immediate concern to them right then. So, I don't know, 6 months, certainly you can do that. But once again, you do it entirely on your own schedule, on your own terms. So it's also going to depend on, how much work you're putting into it. It's completely self-study. I don't boil down or condense the material and dumb it down for an idiot, like the dummy's guide to it. You get right from the horse's mouth, you get the actual material. And if you want to read it all, it's going to take a little while. QSR, I'm going to wrap this up soon because I have another live stream starting in 10 minutes. I will get through these. QSR says, greetings from Romania. I'm looking for a side hustle or something to pursue as a passion and maybe monetize it further down the line. The problem is that I don't find anything in me left to pursue. Okay. Well, hopefully you're going to be monetizing it from the very beginning, or else what's the point of doing it? I feel dead inside, and the very few people around me don't have any brainstorm going for them, and I have just went the same boring life decisions. Work, home, work. Well, listen, QSR, just based on this, depending on what your goals are, this can be the stepping stone to liberate you from the rat race, like from life as an employee, having to depend on someone else to make money. If that's your goal, if you want to be self-employed, if that's kind of what you're wanting to do, it's an admirable goal. Okay. And I think it's great. I think more people should think like this. It is going to take a bit of time though. It doesn't happen overnight. You got to learn the theory, and then you got to go out and learn like in practice. You got to try things and, put some time and effort into it. But if you stick with it, you will learn stuff. So I advocate for people doing things like side hustles. It's a way to sort of dip your toe into this world and get exposure to it and start developing your business skills. But in a sort of controlled way that you can fit into your life. You don't have to spend any money really to do it. You just got to put effort into it. You've got to put some time and effort into it. So if this is what you want, this is a thing you could pursue, but it will take you a little while. It'll take you a couple of years, okay, to sort of get up and running. So if that's suitable for you, if that's what you're looking for, then I would say learn all you can. Like, obviously tune into my channel and look at other sources, look at other YouTubers and, other things not on YouTube, but just out on the internet, or, like other sources. Get a variety of, sources of information for this stuff and just work at it. Do it on your own terms. You don't necessarily have to step out of your comfort zone, but do it on your own terms and just give it some time, and great things can happen, especially in this day and age where, as I was saying earlier, we got some fantastic tools you could take advantage of, hopefully that helps. Tracy says, I was just exploring different copywriter courses before I joined you. Yeah, like that's a thing. I mean, that's a good skill. I've never taken like a copywriter course. I mean, I wasn't even familiar with that term until maybe less than 5 years ago. But like to be on YouTube, you kind of have to know a little bit of that. To be, to lead a company, you have to know a bit of that stuff. It's to do with sales and how you pitch stuff, and being able to persuade people and stuff is very important. So it's kind of part of that in my mind anyway. Tracy says 6 months to 2 years. Yeah. Timothy, when can I expect next live stream? Because I've got a lot of questions, but I'd rather save them for next time. Great advice. I will be doing another episode of this Side Hustle Ideas next Monday, probably at this time. Okay. And I'm going to be live, like I guess in 5 minutes, on another live stream called How to Get Hired, which is more like how to pass a job interview and become an employee, that world. That also will be next week at probably this time. Tracy, do you consider affiliate marketing to be an effective main hustle? I'm working on creating an agency. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people make money with it. I don't have much experience with it myself. I know it's a thing, right? But like anything else, you need to know what you're doing in that world, right? It's not enough to just pick that and just go in not knowing anything and expect to be successful. You got to learn it. You got to put in your time like anything else. So yeah, it's got potential, but your success is going to depend on how much you know and how, much experience you have. Okay. QSR. I'm a forensics technician, CSI, working in 3 shifts. It is so hard to jumpstart enthusiasm and the will to move forward towards something without knowing what is that thing. Listen, okay, I got to sign off soon, but I will say this. Look, QSR, you can't force inspiration. You just can't, okay? You can't change how you feel. And if you just feel uninspired, we have no control over our emotions. We have no control over how we feel. What we do have control over are our actions. So, if you, I don't know where you might get inspiration for what you're wanting to do. You could watch, I don't know, some TV shows that talk about business, maybe some, movies about true stories of people that have succeeded in business or, in whatever interests you, and maybe get inspiration that way. Or if you're like a book type person, you can read books or do audiobooks on that type of material to try and find inspiration. But you know what? Don't beat yourself up if you're just not inspired. Like I'm not a therapist or anything, but I mean, we all have ups and downs, and life is kind of this crazy roller coaster journey that goes up and it comes down. Sometimes there's a limit to what, you can force yourself to feel and do, just, don't be too hard on yourself. Try and do activities that, maybe kindle your inspiration for things as much as possible. But other than that, sometimes you just got to give it some time, don't feel too bad about it. Timothy, I will 100% show up. Greetings from Slovenia. Awesome, Timothy. Well, thank you for being here. Okay, I've got to sign off. I will be back in a couple of minutes, actually, on my other live stream called How to Get Hired. So if you are interested in that topic, join me for that. Otherwise, I'll be back next week, same time, probably same day, on Monday, and we'll do this again. Thank you so much. Take care, everyone. I wish you nothing but success.